Soon thereafter, the deputy lost sight of the vehicle, but then as apparently as he was pursuing that vehicle initially, another K-9 deputy up ahead of us here, or behind me here, intended to put out spike strips to try to stop the vehicle. For whatever reason, it appears that vehicle, that the violator's vehicle, tried to go around those spike strips, lost control, and struck the patrol car. The deputy himself was on foot behind the patrol car and was actually struck by his patrol car after the violator vehicle struck it. The K-9, the dog, was actually in the vehicle at the time of the impact. Thankfully, neither the deputy nor the K-9 were seriously injured. I will add the deputy did lose consciousness at the point of impact, but my understanding is he's got relatively, all things considered, relatively minor injuries. Certainly a concussion and probably some bumps and bruises, but nothing life-threatening is my understanding at this point. Our K-9, the K-9 dog, is actually on the way to Bexar Animal Hospital right now, just as a precautionary checkup. We're doing that in an abundance of caution, but all indicators are that dog is okay as well. The two suspects fled on foot from the scene of the crash. As responding deputies were arriving, they were able to see those two suspects jumping out of the vehicle and running off into a nearby cornfield. We conducted a search for probably about 25 to 30 minutes or so, and just now those two suspects were caught. What I can tell you about them is they're both young Hispanic males, 16 to 18 years of age. I don't know what their status is at this point, whether they were in a stolen vehicle or if they were supposed to be in school or whatever it was they may have been doing. But what I can tell you is that we've got all suspects in custody at this point, and our human deputy and our K-9 deputy are all expected to be okay as a result of this. Esta tarde, uno de nuestros oficiales vio un vehículo que iba a muy alta velocidad, saliéndose del camino y descuidándose, ya mero pegándole a otros carros. Ese oficial intentó parar el carro, pero el carro huyó a muy alta velocidad. El oficial intentó perseguirlos, pero ya perdió, ya no los pudo ver. Pero sí sé que un oficial de K-9 que estaba trabajando en el área, él puso una herramienta que nosotros usamos para quitarle el aire a las llantas de los carros. Y él intentó poner eso en la carretera para parar el carro. Ahorita no se sabe, no se piensa que el sospechoso le pegó a esa herramienta, sino que él perdió control del carro, le pegó al carro de patrulla del oficial de K-9. El oficial estaba a pie, pero estaba atrás de su carro de patrulla. Entonces el carro del sospechoso le pegó al carro de patrulla. El carro de patrulla atropelló el oficial, lo tumbó, sí lo noqueó. El perro, nuestro perro, sí estaba dentro del carro, pero no sufrió heridas serias de lo que nosotros podemos ver. El oficial sí perdió conciencia, pero sí ya él ahorita está en el hospital con heridas menores, se piensa. Y ahorita se sabe que ellos dos están bien y se piensa que van a sobrevivir con heridas menores. Los dos sospechosos, ya sé que son dos hombres latinos, uno de 16 años de edad, uno de 18 años de edad, pero ahorita no se sabe si el carro donde ellos andaban era robado o qué fue, por qué iban huyendo ellos, pero sí se sabe que ellos van a enfrentarse con varios cargos. Any questions?
What different assets, like air assets, did you have to get out?
Well, we did have SAPD Eagle was out here with us, and at the time that we were able to make the apprehensions, our drone unit was about to get airborne because Eagle had to go and refuel, and so thankfully we had just about overlapping air assets out here to help us out.
Did they flee through the cornfield to like
It looks like. No, they made it through the cornfields and into a residential area, and it's a rural area, so the residential lots are pretty big. But where the deputy was able to get them apprehended was right on the back porch of a house. I don't think they have any involvement with that house, other than they were about to run across that property when the deputy was able to make that apprehension. Those apprehensions. At this point, I don't think there was any weapons found. Now, we are at this point going to have to try to backtrack and find out where they were to find out if there were any weapons or any other contraband that may have been dumped along the way.
What charges, Sheriff, are they facing?
Well, they're probably going to be facing, at the very least, not fleeing from the scene of a crash, evading arrest in a vehicle, which is a felony offense, and then any other charges that they may face in conjunction with that. Certainly aggravated assault on a peace officer is something that could be among the realm of possibilities, but additionally injuring of the K-9 if we do in fact find that K-9 was injured during the course of the crash.
Any priors that you know of them too?
I don't even know who these two suspects are, much less criminal history at this point, but so we'll have more information on what their criminal history is. But if they were looking to start a criminal history, they did a great job of doing that for themselves today. They're facing certainly a litany of felony charges at this point.
What message do you have, Sheriff, for people that are maybe joyriding? It's the end of the school year, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, look, so I'm not sure what goes through the minds of people whenever they flee from a deputy. I can tell you at the sheriff's office, we still pursue, and we will pursue you. Obviously, we won't pursue for any and everything, but we will still pursue you. So if you think that just in running away from a Bexar County deputy, you're going to get away because you think that we're going to stop chasing you, that's not always going to be the case. We are going to pursue you, especially in light of something like this. Certainly a bunch of serious charges, and these guys are going to be going to jail for a while.
Do you know what the vehicle was?
It was a black small sedan. I wouldn't be able to. I just saw it as I was passing by, going to the scene. So all I know was a small dark colored sedan, but I don't know make or model at this point.
Are there issues with people still stealing and taking joyrides and Kias and Hyundais?
Well, certainly yes. As we've seen with some of the import vehicles, Kias and Hyundais, namely, that is still a trend where we see people stealing those. At this point, I don't have any indicators that this was that, but it's certainly not outside the realm of possibilities that that's occurring.
So can you explain, Sheriff, how the deputy's unit ran him over? Did he get off the vehicle?
No. So my understanding was he was able to deploy the spikes, but then was able to get behind the vehicle, his own vehicle. Now, I don't know if he was doing that as cover, but as he was behind the vehicle, the violator's vehicle hit the patrol car, and then the patrol car hit the deputy. Thankfully, he was thrown free from the wreckage by the looks of it, that the cars didn't go over him, but he did lose consciousness. So it was certainly a substantial crash. We're just fortunate that he and/or the dog were not substantially injured. The dog was inside the vehicle. The K-9, the deputy had not deployed the dog. All he did was get out of the car to deploy the strips.
Is this a busy area? Is it kind of busy?
Well, it's a rural area, but there is quite a bit of traffic, all things considered. And being that it's a rural road, people do tend to pick up some speed here. The deputy himself was just over the other side of this hill that's behind us. So no doubt, as the suspect came over that hill, he was surprised to see not only a deputy, but spike strips waiting on him.
Is there any blocked off for a while?
We are going to have it blocked off for a while. I know that school's probably about to let out, or they're probably doing early release today because of the last day of school. So we certainly would ask people to be patient with us. We're going to try to get this thing handled as quickly as we possibly can. But just please understand, in a serious situation like this, we've got to make sure and we process this crime scene correctly, take measurements, and do everything we need to do. So I would ask people to just be patient with us. We certainly don't mean to disrupt your daily commute or your daily lives any more than we need to, but we've got a job to do at this point.
Are you seeing an uptick in, school-age kids doing stuff like this as school comes to an end?
Well, certainly this is one of the areas where we've been concentrating our school safety task force efforts for obvious reasons. I think now that school's letting out, with summer coming, I think it's safe to say that it's going to start getting a little crazier for all of us. And so, we're ready to do whatever we need to do to keep the community safe. So we would ask parents to just make sure that you're stressing to your kids that a little harmless fun can get out of control and get downright deadly if you don't watch what you're doing.
And lastly, how frustrating is it that someone was so reckless that you would a deputy knocked out? How frustrating?
Well, it's extremely frustrating that these guys showed no regard for human life. That's what prompted the deputy to start trying to stop them initially, is they were driving the wrong way on the road, almost going head on into oncoming traffic. And so that's frustrating in and of itself. The fact that the deputy and the K-9 are expected to be okay. That's certainly a sigh of relief, but we could easily be sitting here having a much different conversation had things just gone that much more wrong. And so we're happy at the outcome. We're satisfied with the outcome that our deputy and the dog are going to be okay, but it's just frustrating that these two young men decided to take everybody's life into their hands, and we're just fortunate that everybody got out with their lives.
Can you tell
Thank
us,
you,
sir,
sir.
what schools or if any school was on lockdown?
I don't know if the schools were on lockdown. I know that the Southwest ISD police chief and an administrator were out here with us. I don't know to what extent they did anything with the schools, but I do know that at least one concerned parent just stopped as we were starting this press conference. But again, the schools are safe and sound. This doesn't involve the schools at all, but certainly the school district out here, they're partners with us on our task force, and they do a great job at taking care of those kids.